When I left Germany, I had no idea I would miss Christmas, but here we are. And it made me realize it's not the big dramatic changes that hit you the hardest. It's the small, unexpected things you'd never even noticed before you end up missing the most. So today, I want to share with you 5 unexpected things I miss about life in Germany. Number 1, tap water. Tap water in Germany is one of these luxuries you don't really appreciate it when you grew up with it. Because it's quite normal. It's a normal life. You go to the tap, you open it, you fill your glass, and you drink it. That is just a normal thing to do. But the reality is, it's a luxury to have access to not only safe tap water, but it's generally delicious. It really tastes clear and crisp and fresh. The crazy thing is, a lot of Germans still buy bottled water because they prefer sparkling water. So let that sink in. But now, living away from Germany, I realized that this is one of these quiet luxuries you don't really take for granted while you're having it. And now I cherish it way more when I'm back and I can experience it. Number 2, public transportation. Public transportation in Germany is really one of these things I did not really appreciate it when I was living there. Because the truth is, it's so far-reaching and integrated into your daily life. Almost doesn't matter where you live. Of course, like in bigger cities, you have subway systems, light rail systems, buses, and train system that connects the different cities. But even smaller towns are connected with a bus system. You can reach wherever you want. It's not always punctual, and you end up having some questionable people sometimes on the trains, and it can feel weird and overcrowded, of course. Sometimes you have to stand in the middle of the train for an hour to reach the next city. But the truth is also that even though it has these flaws, it exists. You can get around without owning a car. And that is really not the case here in Mexico. It is, I think, in general, more a North American thing. Uniquely in Mexico is also because it's so mountainous and there are numerous earthquakes here. So it's just harder to build an extensive train network. But they're still doing it. They're catching up, but nevertheless, that is something I do miss about Germany. The opportunity to just go around without having a car, without the necessity of having a car. That's something I do miss from my daily life. Number 3, Vietnamese food. Okay, let me explain real quick. I love Mexican food. I love the spices. I love all the different dishes from the different parts of Mexico. But there is a part of me that just absolutely adores Vietnamese food. And back in Germany, thanks to immigration and somehow also communism, there are a lot of Vietnamese people living in Germany. And over the years opened up small restaurants or bigger restaurants and offering their delicious food to the public. And I just love a banh mi sandwich. I love pho. I love that. And for my normal daily life in Germany, you could have that relatively easily wherever you were in the country. And that is not so much the case in Mexico. Of course, there also exist Vietnamese restaurants and Vietnamese food here, but just not so abundant, I would say, than in Germany. So it's more of a planned trip, a planned restaurant visit, and less of a, I crave that now for dinner or for lunch or as a snack or something. So again, that is something I do miss, and I had no idea I would miss it before it was not part of my daily life anymore. Number 4, affordable essentials. So that is a part I didn't even thought once about missing it ever, because it was so woven into my normal daily life for my whole life, and so much that this is almost the one that hits me the hardest, because in Germany you can go to like a Rossmann or DM, which is kind of like a mixture between a supermarket and a drugstore. So mostly you get there your essentials like a shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste, nail polish, all that kind of stuff, but you also can get food. The thing is, they have their own brands, so you can get a shampoo, a conditioner, a toothpaste for like $2.50. And the same for supermarkets. Each supermarket in Germany has like its own in-store brand, and the quality is always amazing. It's mostly even produced in the same factories than the brands themselves. And that is really something that's not the case here in Mexico. You do have way fewer in-store brands, and the ones that exist are definitely not so great in quality. So you really taste the difference. So an example would be my consumption of breakfast cereals. I do love breakfast cereals. And in Germany, I had to limit myself, not because of the price, but because it's not so healthy. So I often ended up just eating bowl after bowl or just snacking right off the box. And I had to limit myself. Here in Mexico, I have to limit myself because it's really expensive. So the same thing, but a very different reason for it. And yeah, that is something I do miss from Germany. The ability to buy good quality things in the supermarket that are not fruits or vegetables. Let me be clear. Really just packaged stuff. But to buy that and not spend an arm and a leg, or having really not so great quality store brands, that's something I do miss. And I have a hard time adjusting. Number 5, Christmas. Christmas is really one of these things I didn't expect I would miss from Germany. Because to be honest, for the longest time, I always found it kind of stressful. Like all the buying presents, cleaning everything, cooking, planning. But I came to realize that's kind of my fault for being really stressed out, and less the fault of the holiday itself. And I realized I really do miss these small traditions in Germany, like lighting a candle for like the first Advent, or in general for Advent, having like a small brunch with it, going to a Christmas market, or using like the Christmas calendar where you just open up like a door every day or get a piece of chocolate every day until it's Christmas, or the Martinsingen, which is in November, where you as a child go from door to door and you sing songs and get sweets with that. Or Nikolaus, where you really polish your best shoe, or your biggest, mostly your biggest, place it in front of your door, and overnight it get magically filled with sweets. It in general has like it has a rhythm to it, and it builds up over time, and the whole season has like this warm, cozy feel to it, because the days are really short, so it gets dark early. But because of all the Christmas lighting and decoration that kicks in, it has like all the time like this warm, fuzzy feeling to it. And you don't really have that here in Mexico. It has its own traditions and its own Christmas vibe to it, but it's not the one I really grew up with. And it's really different. And because I think Christmas especially is something you associate so much with your childhood most of the time. And I do miss all the lights and coming home and cuddling up in the warmth of your house and having a hot chocolate or baking cookies while it's dark outside. And I do miss that. I don't miss winter but I do miss this feeling and this vibe and this warm feeling that it gives you. And I miss that quite a lot, I realized. It's funny that none of these things I mentioned are like big or life-changing. They're more these small, subtle things that quietly shape how a place feels. And it's these things that keep coming back to you, like a sip of water from the tap, a nice bowl of pho, and baking cookies in Christmas time. These things stay with you, not because they were perfect, but because they were familiar. And now, so far from where I grew up, I started to realize how important these things are to everyday life and how much they shape you. What about you? What would you miss from the place you grew up? And I hope I could share with you some insights that help you out understand a little bit more about yourself. And if you're interested in this, check out the next video where I share 5 things I really came to love about Mexico. So I hope you're doing great and have a wonderful day. See you next time. When I left